Hello, friends, and welcome to Shelf Help, a podcast powered by Settle. For those that don't know, at Settle, we're all about empowering the people behind the consumer brands that shape our world, and this show is an extension of that mission. So, we're going to dive into the real stuff, the stories, the mess. We love the mess, and honestly, just the mental health strategies that founders are using to grow fearlessly. Everyone, please welcome Jason to the show. I like to just call him the Bean Burger King himself. He is the co-founder of Actual Veggies, a plant-based food company known for its colorful, chef-crafted veggie burgers and fries, and I'm sure many, many more things to come. And they're obviously made with actual veggies, which is so great because that was such a huge gap in the space previously. There was a lot of weird stuff in like the plant-based meat alternatives before. But Jason and his co-founders launched this brand in 2020, basically after he gave up on finding meat alternatives and certain health reasons that he went through. So now, with your background in tech and entrepreneurship, you launched this plant-based company. And honestly, congratulations on all the recent success in food service. Like I was telling you earlier, like that was like such a big turning point for me. Like was I'm thinking about like my school cafeteria and just not having many options as like a college kid that's just like, figuring out like all my life choices. So the fact that you guys are doing that, has that distribution pretty much like been focused on just like overall places like college campuses, corporations, hospitals, things like that?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me. Great intro. Starting it off
Yep.
hot, the Veggie Burger King. I got a lot to live up to on this podcast now. So thanks for that. But yeah,
Yes.
anyways, that was always our goal, was exactly what you said. Like there
Yeah.
are not very many good veggie burger options available in the food service channel. So that partnership with Eurus and Compass is amazing because now we're able to
Yeah.
serve so many schools and companies and all these different places that probably didn't have the best options when it came to meals for lunch or dinner. And now we're able to serve them our veggie burgers.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because like shelf space is already limited when it comes to retail stores, but when you're in an actual like cafeteria setting, like it's even more limited. So it's great to just have like great options. Honestly, I wanted to dive in. The first time we ever got on a video call, you had your baby in tow in the carrier, which I loved. So you were a fresh dad at that point. Tell me what it was like and like that initial adjustment because Actual Veggies was I'm sure your first baby and then you're a new dad. You guys are a high growth brand. What was that like for you and Cassie kind of navigating through that? And yeah, first thought.
Yeah, we live and breathe this business. So behind me is the unofficial headquarters, which is a
Yeah.
room room downstairs in my house. So my wife and I, Cassie, we both work from home. We live and breathe this. Like you said, Actual Veggies was our first baby. But then when we had a real life baby boy almost 11 months ago, it was definitely a huge adjustment. And like you said, I usually, back then I would have him right here. I'd be holding him. We'd be passing him meeting to meeting. Now we do have some help during the day, which is definitely needed when you work from home. But it was still a huge, and our schedule changed. It used to be we'd be up super early working in front of our computer all day in Actual Veggies. Now we've definitely had to make some adjustments. And we obviously love to see our baby boy during the day too and just check in on him and say hi. So it's definitely been a huge adjustment. And you just have to make it work. When you're a business owner, there's going to be many things that are thrown your way, whether it's a baby, whether it's a challenge with your business, and you just have to be ready to adapt.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there like a point where like, because I feel like that those first few months you can kind of get away with like you said, like passing the baby around because they're just like sleeping all day and they can just kind of be in the carrier. What was like the point for you guys where like you were like, we need help, like this is just too much?
Right away, we just
Yeah,
couldn't find good help. It's hard to
yeah,
find someone
for
that
sure.
you trust with your baby, but
Totally.
right away, especially in the early days when the baby isn't sleeping and wasn't sleeping at night, you have to get up every 2 to 3 hours to feed.
Right.
That was
Yeah,
that was the most challenging part, was just getting through the nights and then having the energy to work in the business and get through the
absolutely.
days. But yeah, honestly, right away is when we needed help. We couldn't get it right away, so we just had to make it work. But it was definitely difficult.
Yeah, yeah. But it's also, again, if the baby's at home, it's also good to have them there, and you don't get to miss out on those milestones that come up. So yeah, I totally hear you. So thinking about you and Cassie like running this business together, like I know she manages a lot of the marketing team. Do you guys ever have like, a moment where you're like, we're not going to talk about actual veggies? Because I'm sure like you guys are always like, despite like, the passion that you guys both have, you're like, this is like the unactual veggies hour where we could just focus on each other and talk about other things.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to, but we exactly what you just said. We actively have to carve out time and just be like the next 10 minutes or while we're eating dinner, like no actual veggies talk. So like we really have to like say it out loud. Otherwise, we don't. And the problem is even when we do try to say, all right, no actual veggies talk for the next 10 minutes, 20 minutes while we're eating dinner, it still somehow comes up because
Yeah.
it's just such a part of our life. So like we hear, all the time from everybody, founders, whoever may be, investors, that you have to just disconnect. But it's hard. Like it's
Yeah.
just very hard to disconnect, and everybody finds ways of disconnecting, whether it's going to the gym or whatever it may be. But it's just hard to consciously disconnect.
So totally, absolutely. And I feel like you guys are also like with Haley and Alex too, just such a close-knit team. Tell me like, because there's so many founders that are solo founders. You guys have so many people helping that are like at the helm of the business making decisions. What do you think that's like now, knowing that's like split for your mental health? Like, could you imagine doing all of that by yourself, or even just two co-founders feels like sometimes it's not enough, right? Like, do you think about the impact that that's had with the team collectively so that everyone kind of, I guess, has their own focus point?
Yeah, so I started the business with Haley and Alex and their brother and sister. And like you said, I couldn't imagine doing this on my own. And God bless all solo founders. I don't know how they do it. It's really hard, even with two co-founders. Plus, we have Cassie, who's been working with us since our early days and essentially is a co-founder. So really, there's four of us that just live
Yeah.
and breathe this business. And we obviously have other employees and team members that care about this too. But
Yep.
it's great having co-founders that honestly, what's great about co-founders is when you disagree, because when you disagree, that means there's two or three or multiple viewpoints or reasons. When you all agree, it's too easy. And that's usually what happens if you're a solo founder is you don't have anyone to disagree with. So that's the beautiful part about having co-founders is when you disagree, there's a reason why. Like like in our early days, we would disagree a lot. Now we're now we're definitely way more aligned. Disagreements are more rare and unlikely, but they still do happen. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing when you disagree. Obviously, you can't take it personal. We do get heated because we care about this business so much, but at the end of the day, that's why.
Yeah.
We always, hug it out or smile after we're all, such good friends and family. But those are the good times is when you disagree, because that means there's something that you have to ultimately all decide on and agree on.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you have like a sibling dynamic in the mix. Like I'm personally a triplet, so like I couldn't imagine too, like for Haley and Alex what that might be like as well. Talk me through like for like some like strategies on like I'm a founder and like maybe sometimes I'm in disagreements with my co-founders. Like what are some strategies you guys use where it's kind of like, hey, like we need to talk about this. What does that look like for the actual veggies team?
Yep. So we all think very differently. We all
Yeah.
balance each other out really well. Honestly, that's been so great because, like, in the past, when I've started businesses, for one of my businesses, I started with one of my best friends from growing up, and we think so similar. So it was like
Yeah.
having two of him or two of me. So
Right.
with this, Haley and I are like total opposites. I'm the optimism person
Yeah.
that says like we're gonna go big and
Yeah.
we're gonna do everything possible. We're gonna get it done right now where Haley's like, let's slow down. There has to be strategy to this. Let's do it right. We're going to take a breath. Whereas Alex is almost our voice of reason. Usually Alex is kind of in the middle. So when Alex agrees with
Ah,
me or
yeah.
Haley, then there's two of us. And there's usually a reason when there's two of us. So that's what's great. When there's a situation when either all three of us don't agree or when there's two against one, but the one is just so adamant about their side, then we usually do bring in one of our advisors, and I'm going to shout him out. His name's Jamie Bortak. He's an
Very
advisor and also a
cool.
board member, and he is just a CPG legend and veteran. He's been at the helm of companies like Justin's Nut Butter and a bunch
Wow,
of other
awesome.
companies. So he's our guy that is an expert. So when we don't agree, he'll come in and usually we're able to get to an agreement with him.
That's amazing. He's like your CPG therapist, honestly, is what it sounds
He
like.
really is.
Very cool. So basically, if you kind of have that dynamic where it's like 1 to 1 or 1 versus 2, and it's really good to just bring out like this like third party, like, hey, I haven't, maybe heard of too much, in this situation. Everyone give me their perspective and I'm gonna weigh in here based off of my experience. I think that's awesome. Like that's a great piece of advice. And I know like so many founders, have their mentors, but hey, think about different ways you can use them outside of just like maybe it's conflict resolution with co-founders too and figuring out like the step forward, right? So that's like really, really wonderful advice. Earlier you mentioned, kind of going to the gym, right? What has been like helpful for you, like when it comes to just you've had a crazy day, who knows, like maybe this tariff situation is probably impacting you guys. I don't know. It's definitely impacting a lot of CPG founders. Like you have a day like that, right? Where like tariffs are going up and down, you might be in the middle of fundraising, whatever it is. What grounds you? What do you do in that moment, to just kind of find some kind of peace so that you can, clear your mind and like think about the decision you need to make?
So I wish Haley was on for this question because this question's for her. My answer is just so boring. Everybody on our team will tell you that this is the truth. I don't get stressed. It's just I'm not a person to get stressed out. So
Yeah,
I don't get too high. I don't get too low.
just
When
even.
there, yeah, when there is
Yeah,
a situation when things go wrong, and it happens all the time, I just I don't let it bother me. So like that, really, I don't have a good answer
awesome.
for you. And like, sure, I love going to the gym, but that's not
Yeah.
to help me get over
Yeah.
a bad situation. Normally, like if something's going wrong, the way I react is let's fix it, and we just get right to it.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind, let's dig a little deeper there, like when it comes to just the fact that you are like this kind of like, it sounds like, it's if something positive happens, it's not going to necessarily be like, I'm going to be extremely happy about it. And or like if something terrible happens, it's not going to stress me out. Like, what do you think has attributed to that mentality, like over your life?
I think it's just like when I was younger and started businesses, I went into them with this idea of like, this is going to be $1 billion business tomorrow. And it's just, you set yourself up for failure when you have that mindset. And there's nothing wrong with that mindset. Like you can dream and you can have aspirations. But I think just from past failures, I've learned that you just have to stay even. And it just, you can't build yourself up or your business or anything too much. And also the same when things go wrong. You can't get too down. So like we definitely as a team, I don't know if it's that I've rubbed off on everyone, but we definitely have that mentality of where we unfortunately don't celebrate our wins too much and we should. We definitely all should take a step back when something really good happens and celebrate. And we've tried and we've been trying to do that a little bit more and get better at that, whether it's all getting together and going to dinner, having some drinks, whatever it may be. But we've definitely admittedly done a really bad job of celebrating the wins. But the reverse can be said about we don't fret on the losses. We definitely don't spend time crying or being upset when something doesn't go wrong. We just, like I said, we just get right back to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think honestly, that's just like really hopeful to hear for founders who have had like these businesses that they had to close down. Like, and what you don't think about is the grit that gets developed over time so that when they do launch the business, like their mental clarity and acuity is going to be like just better and better every time. And that's what it sounds like, you're experiencing. And it sounds like that's something that you said is rubbing off on everyone. And I like to believe in like people's energies like bringing you up and down. And so like it sounds like that's something where they might even get mad at you. They're like, "Wait, how are you like not upset? How does this not bother you?" Like, and but it's really inspiring because I think having a person like that like during those times is like really important, especially as a leader of your team. So like that's really honestly really awesome. Curious, something I think co-founders have to do a lot, founders or co-founders, is use the word no. And I'm sure that might resonate. Can you tell me about like a recent time where, maybe you or the Actual Veggies teams had to just say no to something to just protect your time, potentially like protect, your peace? Because that I'm sure is something you also developed in building businesses is like learning to use the word no and knowing how to properly use your time.
Yeah, so I am a yes man. I hate the word no. And I've come a long way because a few years ago, I would have fought tooth and nail to say yes to every opportunity. But now I say no a lot. Our team says no a lot. And it's just something you learn as you essentially as you play this game, which is just running a business. There just has to be strategy. You can't say yes to everything. You can't go everywhere at once. So we definitely say no. And it used to pain me. It used to kill me. Now I understand it's just part of this. And just because we're saying no now doesn't mean we're saying no forever. So, for example, we were planning on launching with a major retailer in Canada. We were all ready to go. We had all of our packaging translated for the bilingual language, the French and the French and English, and we were literally ready to launch. And this was probably 3, 4 months ago when just all this tariff talk just started, and every single day it seemed like there was new restrictions or new tariffs or new
Interesting.
rules. So we had that tough conversation internally where we decided now is not the right time for us to enter Canada. We called up the retail buyer. We had an honest heart to heart with him, and we just said, look, with all the uncertainty going on in the world right now, we can't put ourselves or you as a retailer at jeopardy. And
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
unfortunately cannot launch. And the launch was supposed to happen honestly like right around now in May. So we told them like, look, let's revisit towards the end of the year and see where things are. And that's where we left off. And it was all positive from him and just from both sides. But it was obviously it was painful to say no. And like I said, 3 years ago, I never would have let that happen. We would have done it. But we've learned that you have to say no to certain things.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, and I like that you're thinking about it too in terms of the partnership that you could have with them and the position it could put them in as well, right? Because there, to your point, there is so much uncertainty. So the impact of them, like for them, we don't even know what that could look like, right? And so definitely feel like that was like a great opportunity to exercise that word, right? And kind of say like, hey, like this isn't even no, it's just like no for now until this gets like, sorted out, which makes complete sense. I wanted to wrap up with definitely giving you the time to tell everyone where everyone can find like actual veggies, where they can find you on socials, but then also, what do you say to the founders out there who are living in that maybe state of fear about launching a brand, maybe launching a new SKU? It doesn't even have to be a brand, but kind of doing something risky, especially it sounds like, that is something you have down packed. What is your advice to founders who are just maybe just afraid of taking that leap of faith and go ahead?
Yeah, I think it's just you have to be patient, but not too patient. We've been building this business. I mean, it was an idea in 2020, but we launched July of 2021, and we've patiently been building this business for 4 or 5 years now. And now we're in over 7,000 retail doors, and it just isn't going to happen overnight. And things aren't going to
Yeah.
go well along the way. But at some point, like you said, you have to take that leap of faith and launch your product. There's no amount of research or data or anything that's going to make you know for certain if something's going to work or not. So you just have to do it. We've seen too many founders that are just, I guess you could call them perfectionists, and they just won't release something or they won't launch something. And you just have to do it. And it's never going to be the way you expect it. Like when we started this business, I thought, we'll be in Whole Foods in a month. And it took us like almost like 3 years from idea to
Yeah.
getting on the shelves at Whole Foods. And we actually launched our business on TV with QVC. And I didn't even know that was an option. I had no idea. So like you just have like that opportunity came to us. We just said, okay, let's do it. And like I said, we were not expecting to launch with QVC. The burgers and the packaging we made were not for QVC. They were for retail. So we had to scramble and make a bigger pack for QVC. And that was just not how we expected things to go. But we did it. We pulled it off. The product sold really well in QVC. It was a good feeling. And after that, it was off to the races.
Yeah, that's awesome. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Jason. Where can everyone, you already said Whole Foods, which that's where I personally get actual veggies, but where can everyone find actual veggies and connect with you?
Yeah, so we're available now in every single state. We're available in Whole Foods, Sprouts, Kroger, Albertsons, Wegmans, the Fresh Market. I could keep naming them, but the best place to check is just on our website. We have a store
That store
locator. You'll be able
locator.
to find
Yep.
the closest store to you. And yeah, we'd love your support. And if you haven't tried our products, we'd love to hear what you think.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much, Jason. Seriously appreciate your time and getting a little vulnerable with me and, talking a little bit about like the team dynamics at Actual Veggies and things between your family. Best of luck with everything and I'm looking forward to potentially another chat.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. This was fun.